The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I one day got a call from a lady in Kiryat Sefer. They were destitute. Her husband was sitting and learning. He was steiging. And they had debts. And the wife decided that she's going. The first step was to tighten their belts. They made up they're not going to eat any fleischiks during the week. Not going to eat fish, not going to eat chicken, not going to eat meat. And they're going to try to scrimp and save money. Didn't do much. The wife decided that she has to go to work. So she thought, what can I do to make money? So she decided that she's going to what? Clean houses. Sponge. Want to clean houses. Very demeaning, very humiliating. Her neighbor's houses. I mean, that's... And she managed to accumulate a number of $7,000. But then she said she couldn't do it anymore. And they still had $8,000 left of debt. So they were looking into options, and they decided if they sell their house in Kiryat Sefer, their apartment, they move into a new development, and they'll be able, after the move, to end up with $8,000, and they'll be able to pay their chayfs. So she was calling to ask if that's the right thing to do. I said, it sounds very commendable. It sounds very special. Tremendous Mesiras Nefesh should be willing to do that, to go and do sponge and to go clean houses. This was an American woman who lived in Beitar, in Eretz Yisrael, but she didn't see it that way. And I told her, it's not the way to go. I said, did you ever daven to Hashem? So what do you think? I always daven to Hashem. He never answered me. I said, do you know how to daven to Hashem? She said, what do you mean? I said, do you daven to Hashem like he's a government office? Or do you daven to Hashem like he's your father? The way to daven to Hashem is like he's your father. I said to her, she said, I don't know what that means. I said, you don't know what a father means? She said, no, I don't know what a father means. I never had that experience of having a father. I had a mother. I said, I'm sorry to hear that, but you should know you had a father that most other people don't have. Because it says in the Pasuk that Hashem is the father of orphans. For those who don't have a father, Hashem is the father. And I explained to her how she should have. She should go into a room, nobody's there, and think, Hashem, you're my father, you raised me, you took care of me, you married me, gave me children, and now we're lacking money. I said to her, do you understand how humiliating this could be for Hashem, the fact that you went to do cleaning houses? She said, no. I said, try to imagine the following. Imagine your name is Reichman, and you're from Toronto, the Wright Reichmans in Toronto. There are different family Reichmans in Toronto. Some are on the right side of the tracks, some are from the other side of the tracks. So I said, imagine you were Reichman, and you're from this side of the tracks. And you needed some money. But you don't want to bother your father because he's helped you so much. He's been so kind to you. And you don't want to push him. So you know what? You're going to be moisture nefesh and you're going to go clean houses. Now imagine you go to somebody's house and the person asks you, are you from Toronto? Yes. What's your family name? Reichman. Are you related to Moshe Reichman? Paul Reichman? Yeah. That's my family. So why are you cleaning houses? I have some debt and I have to go collect money. Why don't you call your father and give you the money on the spot? I don't want to bother him. Now, do you think if Moshe Reichman were here, he's a very nice man, Moshe Reichman, extremely nice man. Can you imagine what his reaction would be if he would hear that his daughter is cleaning houses in Kiryat Sefer because she didn't want to ask her father for $15,000? Even a nice man would be very upset. It would say, I can give you $15,000 100,000 times over. It's nothing. It's a shmek tavik for me. Just ask and I'll give it to you. I said, Hashem has more than that. Hashem's not proud of you that you went to clean houses. Why don't you turn to him? He can give you the money. The kids, sir, I explained it to her. I encouraged her, gave her the details of how to daven to Hashem, introduced her to a new father, his wealthy father, and hung up the phone. Not a month goes by, about 3 weeks, and my phone rings, and I missed the phone call, and the person left the message. It was a garbled message, but I heard it was something about money. And I felt terrible because I wanted to call them back, and at that point they didn't have yet the caller ID, or I didn't have caller ID for Eretz Yisrael yet, and I was hoping they would have called me back. I wanted to know what the end of the story was. A few days later they called me back. This time I made it. And she said, thank you very much. I'm holding a check in my hand of $8,000. I said, really? How did you get it? I said, straight from my father. I said, how? I said, I'll tell you what happened. He said, my mother was in America, and she had an accountant who was creative with numbers. And he filed taxes for my family. And he got us a refund of $3,000. But when I looked into it, I saw the numbers that he created weren't really real numbers. But he said, don't worry about it, they're not going to come after you. So I went to my Rav in Kiryat Sefer and I asked if I can keep the money. He said no. The accountant said that if you give it back, you're only going to get $1,000. Well, we'll get what they got. He filled out the right numbers, sent it in, and very shortly afterwards, which is unusual for the government, especially when it comes to giving you back money, they sent a letter, you're entitled to a refund of $8,000. And a few days later, he said, I got the check in my hand. I said, Hoidul Hashem ki tayv ki le'en chasi. You see what your father can do? It was nothing for Hashem. She had no guile, no one to help her. She turned to her father. That's the only one to turn to.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org